Good morning. This is the Morning News on WSBA, the Wednesday morning edition, hour number 2. I'm Gary Sutton.
And I'm Chris Tyler.
WSBA news time is 7:10. Back in 2008, when Senator Obama was running for the presidential job, which he eventually won, he was visiting Holland, Ohio, and he got into an interesting discussion with a number of the citizens there, one of whom was Joe Wurzelbacher, who became Joe the Plumber and became one of the most iconic names in the country because of, well, you might say the debate that they had there on his front lawn. And Joe joins us here this morning on the Morning News. Joe, great to have you back. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me, Gary.
And happy Thanksgiving a day early for you, too, my friend.
Hey, appreciate it.
I was reading back at what the president actually said to you that day, and he said, it's not that I want to punish your success. I just want to make sure that everybody who is behind you, that they've got a chance at success. My attitude is that if the economy is good for folks from the bottom up, it's going to be good for everybody. And then he said at the end, of course, the famous line, I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody. As you reflect on that now, 5 years later, what hath that wrought for our country, Joe?
It's proven to be not good for anybody, except for maybe the people who are lazy and depend on you and me that work hard every day to support them. And that's not the way America was built. And that was one of the reasons I asked that question, is all throughout our lives we've been told if we work hard, we'll succeed. And here comes the president of the United States of America who really doesn't understand what it is to be an American, because the American dream is to work hard and succeed, not take care of people who lay about.
What is the compact in society then? You know, I'll be devil's advocate for a little bit. There might be people out there who would say, well, you know what? There are people in society that can't take care of themselves. What do we do about those? And where do you cross the line when we look back and we say, okay, those people are never going to be able to get up off the ground. What do we do about them?
Well, that's an easy answer, actually. Is the government backs off from taking so much of your money and my money that it opens more doors for us to give charity. I mean, Americans are the most charitable country in the world. We give, to drop of a hat, we'll give money to a good cause. And that's where our churches came in. That's where our community came in. And that's what we do as Americans. But unfortunately, the government, state and federal, have hamstrung the American individual from being able to give and help. I mean, the whole idea by building a community and making it strong is great. And unfortunately, they've divided us and they war us against each other to keep themselves in power, and then talk about how bad we are because we can't give or we won't give. And it comes down to the fact that we can't give as much as we used to because now the government wants it all.
Gary and I think that and I'm assuming you will agree with this statement, Gary and I think that there are just too many people on food stamps these days, that more and more people have applied and been accepted into the food stamp program over the last, 4 or 5 years. How do we fix that? How do we get it back to where it was?
It's not going to be an easy fix because this has been going on, and the left has been working their magic for the last 40 years. So there's not going to be one answer I can give you. But what we could do is start working on our tax program. Your Democrats, your Republicans, I'm talking just your regular folks, realize that there's so many loopholes in the systems for the fat cats, for your Wall Street corporate guys
right,
that everyone wants to be mad at. And you know what? I agree with it. There are way too many loopholes. The rich want to stay rich. The poor want to keep manipulating their situation. The middle class, you and me, are the ones getting crunched by it. So when we talk about spreading the wealth, it's not just through higher taxes, but it's also through EPA and regulations, small businesses being grounded underneath the thumb of big corporations who pay lobbyists huge monies to run the government and then have the government run those corporations. Healthcare, another way of spreading the wealth. They are spreading American taxpayers' wealth left and right, and they're bleeding us dry.
And the point you make is a really good one because the wealthy, they're giving more, but they're also moving to other places then too, which they can do, and the middle class seems to be disappearing little by little, Joe.
Oh, and that's what happens in a socialist society. I mean, in a communist society, that is what happens, and that's where we're going towards. So we don't get a rein in on this and forget the whole party politics and actually start saving America. I mean, you're going to have rich and you're going to have poor, and you ain't going to have a middle class.
Yeah, amen. And the numbers bear that out because last week we saw the numbers come out and say the gap between the haves and the have-nots right now is as great as it's ever been in this country. Joe, so many people became Joe the Plumber after you kind of became the regular guy, out in the lawn, not afraid to speak up. We had the rise of the Tea Party after that, after President Obama became President Obama. But it seems like it has drifted off since then. Is it a quieter movement now? Where does it stand in the country? I know you talk to a lot of people, get around to a lot of people. Where do you see it right now?
Well, the media has been able to do what they do by oppressing people's ideas and thoughts and voices. And so the Tea Party is definitely still strong. I mean, obviously it's still strong. I mean, you got Harry Reid blaming the government shutdown on the Tea Party, which a couple months prior to that he was saying the Tea Party was dead. But you can't have it either way.
Right.
So, no, the movement's still strong. It's just people have realized that, you can only have so many events, so many rallies, so many protests before you actually got to get your hands dirty and get down and start walking neighborhoods, talking to people, actually getting things accomplished. Waving the flag and having a song and dance is a good time, but eventually you got to go to work. And that's what the left has been doing for years. And so people of the conservative movement, not the Republican Party, but the conservative movement, they're getting out there and getting busy. A lot of people are going after the school boards. They're going after the precincts, which is really important, getting involved locally.
Right.
So I still see it very strong. I see a lot of people have woken up and realized that if they don't get to work now, in the next 10 to 15 years, they're not going to notice their country. Which brings me to the point, when you talk about spreading the wealth, it's amazing how many people are feeling the pinch. My website, joeforamerica.com, I actually put articles up there about canning and about gardening. And it's amazing what I've seen the last couple of years. People call it prepping or homesteading. But people are, doing a lot of things differently these days to make ends meet by what I call common sense preparation and making sure their grocery list or grocery bill is not as high because of what's coming down from the federal government with the higher taxes, with the regulations, with the overstep with Obamacare. A lot of people are actually taking skills that we learned back in the 18th and 19th century, and they're putting it to use today.
What's your prediction for the midterm elections next year? Do you think the Republicans can take the Senate back?
I hope conservatives take the Senate back. I'm tired of Republicans.
Yeah.
I'm tired of... I want some good, solid conservatives. I'm going to work hard to help a couple different people out. I'm going to get behind. It just depends on the American people. It amazes me. You just don't know who's going to show up sometimes. So I'm bad with predictions because I don't have faith so much in people. I mean, and I hate to say that only because, the actions that we've seen over the last 5, 10, 15 years. It's too much of a reality TV politics. I mean, whatever can grab the new shiny quarter can grab somebody's attention and throw off the whole election. So I don't have a guess on that. I pray and I hope.
Joe, final thought here. We got about 30 seconds left, and it's this, that we seem to get so much into a side, and we box ourselves in with all these rules. Well, I believe this because I'm such and such. What would you tell those people out there? About 30 seconds.
Ultimately, I'm very much a social conservative, but what we need to do is we need to rein in on taxes and regulations. We want to see America succeed and bring some security back. That's where I think we need to really focus on. Not to say that we need to back off from pro-life because I can't stand it, but we do need to get some people in there that can be fiscally conservative and bring some strength back to America so we can work on our social issues.
By the way, happy birthday a week early. Big birthday for Joe next week.
Go. Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah, I hit the 40.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll struggle with it, but you should be able to get by it, okay, knowing you, okay?
I appreciate it.
Joe,
thank you very much. I hope you guys have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, and take care on your way to Wisconsin, okay?
Hey, thanks a lot, brother.
Joe, the plumber, Wurzelbacher, with us in the morning. He's a guy who's not afraid to talk straight.
Right.
And wouldn't we like to have a little more of that in Washington these days?